This episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast has been brought to you in part by Audacity Magazine. Audacity Magazine and Events has been amplifying young professionals and small businesses for the last 5 years. If that describes you, then I invite you to get an Audacity subscription, aka join the Audacity team. You can enjoy benefits that include 2 events a month, whether virtual or in person in Atlanta, bi-weekly power hours that serve as accountability as well as brainstorming sessions, entry into a WhatsApp group chat of fellow entrepreneurs, free shipping on merch, and a free entry into the fetch list, which, yes, is a nod to Mean Girls and no, not a reference that I personally understood. The fetch list is, however, a directory accessible by those who are tapped in with Audacity, which means it can help you find your next customer. Now, I think it's safe to say that 5 years of anything can never be sufficiently covered in one ad. So to learn more, visit audacitymagazine.org. And to inquire about advertising across their different platforms, email audacitymagazineonline@gmail.com. That's Audacity, MAG, online@gmail.com.
Ain't nothing worse than a smart dumb. Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast. If you may have noticed, maybe you have not, the poetry, the spoken word, the open mic scene has definitely introduced me to a handful of people, and today's guest is no different. It's been well over a year, actually. It'll be interesting. I'm interested to see if you remember which event it was, but we have been, in just interacting and in communication as far as that good platform Instagram for a while now, and so this is another opportunity to speak with someone else doing that thing in the art scene. So I'd like to introduce all of you to Dylan. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Man, not bad at all. Glad we connected on this. Looking forward to this conversation. So,
Yeah.
Myself, I finally hit 8 years living in Maryland. But what about yourself? Is this where you are from?
Yeah, I was born in Finksburg, and I live in Westminster now.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Which is just like 10 minutes, if that, away. So,
Got it. Okay.
my
All right.
family originally is from Pittsburgh.
Oh. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So they moved out this way basically by the time you were born.
Yeah, like in the 80s, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Very nice. So yeah, our common denominator, or at least one of them, common denominator is art. So just what's your backstory? I mean, you have a couple different disciplines and interests. There's the poetry, there's singing, there's drawing, there's painting. So what started and how did it start?
So singing is like my first love, you know what I mean? It's like when I was little, I never shut up. I was just always, making noise somehow, singing. When I was little, like in elementary school, the kids in my class, like while we were waiting for the bus, would even like sit me on a desk and pretend I was a jukebox and be like, sing this song, and I'd sing it. Um, so singing is really my like primary thing that I've always enjoyed. And then I got into painting like over the last couple years. But before that, I should say I got into poetry um in college really. Because I took a writing poetry class one semester and actually found a lot of good stuff in it. And so I write poetry. And then my grandmother actually is like her whole life she's been painting. So
Nice.
I got into that recently, and you know, built up a decent catalog of paintings that I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. That's awesome. So, like, yeah, I try to figure out go in order. So, when you were, as far as young, just being active in noise, like, did you find that you had more, whether it's parents or teachers, were they trying to, make you assimilate, like sit down, pay attention, or were you getting encouraged back then, like, okay, we see this is your gift, like this is your like go in that, go in that direction.
Hmm. I I don't know. It wasn't. I got a fair amount of support.
Okay. Good.
I was always in choir in school, and so I was always a part of that, and I always liked to go out for the solo in our concerts. Um, and I formed like a close relationship with my chorus teachers when I was doing that, and then I also uh, just like at work. Um, I used to work in a restaurant, and I would always be singing as well. And like one thing is like whenever there was a customer who had a birthday, they'd be like, "Oh, go grab Dylan. He'll sing the happy birthday to him." Um, so I think that there's been a good support system underneath me
Mhm.
in that sense.
Very good, very good. Okay, all right. And then as far as your poetry, you picked that up in college. Like, was that, was that more like intentional, or like, oh, hey, I gotta, I need to take a class. There's a class. Let me try this. Or was it like, what was? How
Yeah,
did you
I
get
mean, I've always enjoyed just being creative in general, no matter what like avenue it's in.
there? Hmm.
But I mean, I had written like, roses are red, violets are blue poems up till that point, but never like ventured into like actually writing a decent poem. Um, I wrote like a love poem for a girl I liked in high school because I'm corny. But yeah, um, it was really just like, okay, I need a credit. I need to, take a class in the semester, and I just had a really good teacher. Um, so I want to shout her out if
Yeah,
I can. Her
absolutely.
name is Miss Quinn, that I call her. But her name's Carol Quinn. She taught at Towson University. She's a special lady.
Nice.
And
Very good.
I credit her for, getting me into the whole poetry thing.
Nice. Nah, that's great. That's like, yeah, shout out. Hey, I mean, both your both the even the elementary school, like for you to say, like, yeah, you can definitely look back and point to various people who encourage you along the way. That's good. A lot of times we're used to, oh, I did this in spite of, I did this to prove people wrong, but it's like it's okay, it's good. Sometimes people need to hear like, now we have your, the angels out there, the folks that are supporting, like, yeah, follow this gift. I see
Yeah.
something, and you. So yeah, shout out to the early school and also Miss Quinn. You said, and it's Towson you went to.
Yeah, Towson.
Okay, okay. How was that experience?
Eh, I mean, it was decent.
Hmm.
Um, I graduated during COVID, so
Hmm.
I didn't really graduate, if you ask me.
Okay.
Um, it was just like, hey, I got a party popper in the mail, and it was like, hey, this is your
Uh,
graduation gift. And
yeah.
okay. Um, but I mean, it was good.
Yeah. No, that's such an interesting, right? That is such an interesting experience.
Yeah,
Like,
like I
yeah,
got home from work one
yeah.
day, and because I live with my parents, and
Hmm.
they were like, "Hey, something came in the mail from you from Towson." And it was like a black and gold party popper. That basically was just like to celebrate graduation and everything.
Wow. I hope
Because I mean, it's really, I mean, I get why they were doing that at that time. I hope when like y'all's fifth year comes up, if you still, tied in with anybody, there, like y'all do something in person. Because it really be like, it doesn't seem, we can say it doesn't seem like a big deal to someone who didn't like that. I got all those, right? So it's, but like, it's one of those things you take for granted. And then we had like a real health situation that like made now we need, some, we can't really just be all gathered together and hug and celebrate and all that right now. So, hopefully, yeah, you kind of get, even if it obviously it's not the same as that moment, but it's still a moment. Y'all,
Yeah.
went to school and earned a degree.
Uh,
You deserve to be
yeah. I
celebrated. Proud.
remember the day we were, because I mean, I didn't start online. I went to, in person all the way from 2016 up till when, COVID happened. And I
Right.
remember we were in class and I'm like, hey, campus is shut down now, so you have to leave. And we were all walking out to our cars, and obviously we didn't know like what that would be,
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but yeah,
So like that, so the whatever, whichever day that was, y'all came to school, like it was a regular
yeah,
class
like
day, and
we
then
were
just
in, I think we were in like a class at the time.
yeah,
I was with my one friend. I remember we were walking out, and it was just like, what's what is this? Like,
right,
oh, and I'll see you in class tomorrow, basically. Um, it was just bizarre.
right. No, for sure. Yeah, no, and the interesting, yeah, what's going on? They didn't know either. Like the people making the call, they playing, yeah, we playing,
Yeah,
go playing it by ear for sure, for sure.
yeah,
Um, yeah, no, it, when we like look back on this history piece and when we just reflect on this 10 years, 20 years later, it's gonna be quite a story, much less, not to mention, excuse me, artists when we start interpreting and reflecting,
yeah.
and everything like that. Do you still sing? Do you still make music?
Yeah, I sing. I don't make music, like
Hmm.
I don't create music, but I sing like all the time,
Gotcha.
just songs that I enjoy or songs that I learned in school or voice lessons. I also took voice lessons in college. Um and so, just I sing those, while I'm walking around the house or whatever.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Keeping that, keeping that, yeah, creativity, that one of many, wings going. I like it. I like it. Now, as for when we come back to the poetry, like now that you started from from the beginnings and you know you yeah, you grew, you gained your experience, your angle, like what would you say is your style? What, is there like a specific topic, and how would you describe your writing style
With my poetry.
with poetry?
Yeah, I primarily write about my medical experiences,
Hmm.
which I've had since I was a little kid. Um, and I feel like that's where I draw a lot of like emotion and, sort of like, because what I wanted to do with my poetry once I like really found that I, could do something like this, I I want to, because I think that poetry is a good avenue to like shed light on topics that,
Yeah.
that are important to you. And, you know, so I write about things like mental health, depression, stuff like that. But my main topic in my poetry is, I have a brain tumor, and which I've had since I was 6 years old, and I've had 8 brain surgeries in my lifetime.
Wow.
And it's not fun, but it's more people than just me go through that kind of
Right.
thing. So I feel like if I can, talk about it and I can, share my experience with it, someone else who might be going through that, they can see that and feel seen, you know what
Right.
I mean? Like, oh, you know, I'm not alone. And then also, you know, someone who people who aren't, you know, uh, going through medical trauma and struggles and stuff like that, they can hear my poetry and just get a new perspective on things and maybe say like, oh, I hadn't thought about that before.
Right.
And you know, get, you know, a new taste of what other people are going through. Because again, you know, I think that poetry is supposed to um, you know, shed light on issues and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Right. That's definitely. I appreciate you know, you sharing all that. Like for sure. You know, it's one thing. You know, we can watch the news. We can even get on social media. But like, if I can, I feel like we met at a bus place. That's what.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think do you know Carolyn Robinson?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we met at
Local.
one of her
Oh.
CJ's place,
Okay.
open mic.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to CJ's Place. Yeah, Love
Yeah,
Poet 18. Yeah, she's wonderful. I had a
yeah,
like 2, 3 years ago. We did an episode. Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
okay. That also makes
She
sense.
had one. She had one just like on Saturday.
Hmm.
Today's Sunday, so I guess Friday.
Hmm.
Um, and it was awesome. It was a lot
Right,
of yeah,
right. I believe it. I definitely believe it. Right, because it been yeah. She kind of came. It was like a pop up or one time
yeah.
situation. Did she give any hints like I might see some more later
She
or
she said, you know, at like afterwards, like she posted about it and she was like, I think I'm gonna have to do this again sometime.
nice.
Um, which I mean, I really hope she does because it was just like, I mean, an open mic is an open mic, but like this was different. It was like, you know, family
Right,
almost. Like I've only known her for like a couple years, but it was like, you know, like when I went in, she was like, "Oh, let me give you a tour of, you know, everything," and you
right.
know, it was really special.
Right. No, yeah, she's an amazing lady. Yeah, shout out to her. I'm glad we get to give her flowers real quick. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
amazing for sure. For sure. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's and so yes, it's you can hear a story, you can read a book, but like when I can go to an event, you know, an intimate event and hear something, that same story, that same message, but from a real person. Like I'm looking at you, share your authentic,
yeah,
you know, self and message. Like it definitely can and will hit different. And exactly like you said, if somebody who wasn't aware of this prior, again, just had limited knowledge, like this is a powerful, like you have the floor for, you know, whatever, 3 to 5 minutes, a little bit more, whatever, to just share in an environment where we're actually listening. People actually have their phones put down. There's not a bunch of
yeah,
noise in the back or not, you know, 5 things on at the same time. So it's just, um, yeah, poetry is special for that. Like it was an event I was at yesterday. I'll shout out Bloom Bars and down there in DC, and it's just a lot of these really high level, whether they're small or large event open mics, I say they're not. It's like it's almost like this isn't real life because I'm getting respected, I'm getting heard, I'm getting listened to. We're
yeah,
respecting everybody else. The whole room is coming with positive energy. Nobody's looking to outshine and put people down. Now, artistry is very, you know, artists are egotistical. Like this is our person, so that's there. But what I say to that is, you know, you're not going to be comfortable being negative. Like you got to do that in the back. You're not
yeah.
going to do that, you
Elsewhere,
know, behind the scenes. You don't just get to out loud be disrespectful. We're leading with love and respect and, you know, collaboration. So it's just a wonderful environment. You wish you could get more of it, but I'm glad I do have so many opportunities to get it in this DMV area and Baltimore.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that you know, it's it's really cool. Like, cause like I said, I didn't start writing poetry until like a couple years ago.
Hmm.
Um, I was always in like the chorus concerts and the performing arts showcases in school. And when you're in that little, group of people, it's like, oh, they're supportive, but then like
Mhm.
high school is catty, it's very like,
Yeah.
Ugh, what, what are you? You're not on the football team? Like, fuck out of here.
Right.
Um, but I feel like whatever you come with, when you're talking about, as long as you're, not hating anybody,
Right.
it's like, whatever issue you're bringing to the table, they will support you, and it's like, yeah, let's rally for medical issues. Let's rally for, people getting seen, or, civil rights, or, whatever it might be. Um, just I feel like whatever topics or issues are brought forth, they'll support you full full force, and that's
Yeah.
something,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. We yeah, to that point, look, like we welcome the variety, the experience. I mean, yeah, some people are, kind of quote unquote, let's say like not standard, but like what we're used to, and somebody can do that at a high level, great. But like then when you get like the message I didn't know was out there, or or the delivery that I didn't know I needed that, and people will be very welcoming to that. Um, as again, yeah, a tumor that's been in your head since 6 and 8 surgeries. That is wow. Do you feel like you have a different perspective on life than whoever is average than people around you?
I mean, in a sense, I think that, I do have a certain, like a perspective when things get hard, like when, going through a tough time, I can take inspiration from saying like, okay, well, I went through this thing. I went through all these surgeries and all this medical stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
this here, like I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I'm not the most like positive person, so it's like, I'm not always looking that way.
Mm-hmm.
But when I sit down to think like, logically, and I'm like, okay, well, if I can get through all of this tough stuff that I've done, then, I can handle all this, stuff that's not as big, you know, I can do that easy. So
Yeah.
it does, give sort of like a measuring stick in a sense of like, you know, if I can do this, then I can do this,
Right.
basically.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, we are concluded. Yeah, we in this last day of this Men's Mental Health Month, which is cool and all. Like I know, for me, it can be November, and I'm gonna still talk about mental health. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
it's 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 okay that I appreciate that somebody is being intentional, about bringing these. So, kind of to your point, do you feel like as far as said tough times, do you feel like you suppress, or do you feel like you like kind of process and say, okay, like I acknowledge this is a thing, but also as far as the process of getting past it, yeah, I can look to this, I can look to health care, I can look to a situation, I can look to I graduated in COVID area. You know what I mean? Like, how do you process?
Yeah, so I think that I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. So basically, like just curious, like when you like your challenges, your tough, your stressors, do you feel like you try to suppress them? Like you use the hey, I've done with something larger than this, so I shouldn't like this shouldn't be a thing at all, or do you feel like okay, this is affecting me somehow, whatever, and now we try to figure out what I can do. Like now that I've sat in it, now what can I do? Well, I did this, so I can apply something about that here. Like, which one do you
Yeah.
typically feel like?
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of the times I do tend to suppress it.
Mhm.
Just because like, we're all busy and like, it's I don't have time for this right now. Like, I'll deal with this later. But then that leads to more issues down the line.
Right.
Um, and as far as like strictly my mental health goes, like it's been a long battle. Like I'd say I've been like having, struggles with it since I was in like middle school. So
Mhm.
like it's been a while. But and I think I've like had like phases in that of like, okay, I'm not gonna talk to anybody because I don't want to bother them. And then there's also like I'm gonna overshare in the middle of my personality class in college, um, next to whatever else. So I think that, it's all about kind of finding the right way to express how you feel because you gotta get it out.
Mhm.
You're gonna self-destruct if you don't get it out. Um, but I think it's uh, an issue of like figuring out the right way to do that. You
Right.
know, whether it's talking to a therapist or if you have a friend that you can confide in, or something else. Journaling is a good way. I
Mhm.
kept a journal for like 4 years, like a daily journal, um, and that was really interesting, and that's cool to look back on. To see like, oh, here's who I was, dealing with. Who's here I was This is who I was talking to. This is the place I was in. This is like, all that. It's because life changes, so it's cool to look back at that and see where you were and where you've gotten to.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I think right because we have amazing like our brains are powerful, but like now they're writing down something or even whatever the medium is like, it'd be like, oh right, like this did happen back then, or I have like it'll help you even more, like you just said, say like, okay, regardless of this, and that is still a problem, but man, have I accomplished way more than I really remembered. And hopefully that's something, we can appreciate. Like I think a lot of people, when they feel as long as they feel there's an opportunity to overcome and to get past, they will continue fighting. It's when like hope is in question, like doubt, a strong doubt that's a dangerous one. So yeah, that perspective, that point in time, I think that is, good for people to do. So yeah, shout out to you for doing that.
Yeah, and like I'd also like to say, like I never saw myself. I'm 26.
Hmm.
I never saw myself making it to 26,
Hmm.
and like I'm only 26, so like I'm young in the grand scheme of everything, but like
Seen a lot.
it's been a long life,
Right.
and I think that it's perspective goes back to that again because like me like inside my head it's like wow like I've gone through a lot, like not even just like the medical stuff we talked about but just like other situations with people or mental health or you know all those sorts of things. But then like
Right.
someone who's like 100 looks at me and is like, you're only like a quarter of the way here. Like, so I think that, it's gonna be different depending on where you come from or like, what your life has been like.
Right. 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 No, yeah. No, you're absolutely. It's such a. There's um, so many factors into a long or a full, like not even fulfilled, but just like full life. Because somebody out there is 80 and walked through like everything was handed, right? So they, but also somebody you would find a person of significant age older than you who also had enough experiences similar that y'all could, y'all could really have a great conversation and get some gems from them. So absolutely, you're absolutely right. It's a great point. Yeah, it's a great perspective. And I hope every now and then, again, like especially capitalists, this hustle society, this microwave society, what's the next trending topic and all of that. Like it is good every now and then to just take a step back. I'm gonna come back to the open mic. They were talking about there was people mentioning that when they ride the metro over there in the DC and Maryland area, like that's basically because like they're not driving, like they're on the train until they get off the train. So that's usually a time they really like kind of process and sit and allow their feelings. And it's like that's great. Honestly, if they were driving, they probably wouldn't do that unless it was traffic, right? So it's like even though you almost gotta kind of be made to do it, that doesn't matter. It's okay. It's great every now and then to slow down. You can always tell yourself, I gotta go do this, I gotta run do that, I gotta accomplish this next, I gotta finish this. It's like, nah, let's breathe a little bit. Stay in this
Yeah,
moment.
I'm actually taking a train trip in a couple weeks to Georgia.
Nice.
So it's like a 14-hour train ride.
Right.
And I'm visiting a friend down there. But one of the things I'm looking forward to most is just like being on the train and I can get some writing done and I can read and I can, just look out at the different things passing by as we go. And I think that that'll be nice just to, take a breather, and, experience something new and take time to think about what I need to think about and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's such a we went the fast flight down there and went the private jet down there so we could be even shorter.
Yeah,
But it's like and when you but if you do it wrong, like I'm rushing to go be busy just for busy's sake again. It's like
yeah,
we might be doing it wrong. So like yeah, just a little moment here to just take your time. Yeah, more people need that for sure.
yeah.
For sure. Now, writing, painting, singing, drawing and painting are not the same thing.
I've drawn a couple things.
Okay, okay,
That's not like my primary, that's
I
not like
see.
one of my like go-tos.
Hmm.
But I have drawn a couple things. Like I um an art piece that I created somewhat recently was neurographic art,
Okay.
which I'm not sure if you're familiar with.
Nope. Please explain.
I had never done it before, but basically you just like put a pen on like one side of the paper and just like swirl it around basically and see what like intersections happen, and then you like round out the corners, and then you round out the corners and then you like paint in the spaces, and like it's it's interesting to see because you do one and then you do another, and then it gets pretty interesting looking with all those lines. And I put like an eye in mine,
Hmm.
like you know and it's definitely it's different than anything that I've tried before.
Yeah.
Um it was I enjoyed it.
So, like, could it be described as like abstract, but then you step back and look and like try to find or make a meaning into it. Like, oh, there's an eye right there. Oh, there's another
Yeah.
recognizable shape.
And one of the like main, because it was developed by a psychologist
Hmm.
actually,
Hmm.
and he said like write like a goal of yours on the back, just in life, Oh, I want to overcome this. I want to do this, and then with that in mind, do the practice. So it's intentional, but it's also, you don't know what it's gonna look like,
Right.
because so it is like abstract in that sense.
Okay. Nice. Nice. I like that. So yeah, when we talk about, I'll say there are disciplines like these four, regardless of doing it for a while, doing it more recently, like very active or kind of on the side. I think it's safe to say like the poetry, you've used directly to address to keep your mental healthy. The other ones, like how those, like, would you say those are um, you engage in them directly to address, or it's just like this is more like indirectly? When I say that, I mean like this is something I enjoy doing, so by default, I'm having a good time right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that those could be categorized more as like hobbies, like I like to paint, I like to, you know, do different artistic things. And I wouldn't say that like drawing and painting and all that, I wouldn't say that that's like me, you know what I mean? Like that's like integral to who I am.
Mm,
Um, but I think that just like art, being artistic in general is like integral to who I am
sure.
as far as like singing and painting and all of that, writing encompassed into one. I think that, really represents so some could be considered like a hobby, but others are like this is what I do. This is,
Right. Right. Yeah, and then even with that, there's the excuse me. Then we also will define, or people will define like hobby versus craft, is oversimplified to do I get paid or try to go get paid or do I not? Which, and there's validity, but it's also oversimplification. So just in general, like if you mapped out, we can let's dream a little bit. Like if in the next month or the next 3 years, like life was going, a way that to your ideal way, like what are you doing? Like which one? What is your focus? What are you doing? Yeah, day to day, month over month.
Yeah, so I'm currently working on putting out another book. So I'm, trying to write more poems to, have enough to put into a book. Because I'm proud of my first book,
Yeah.
Wait and See, but it's short. I will say that it's like there aren't like 1,000 poems in it. It's pretty short. So I'm trying to get enough to where, it'd be like a significant, um, length, you know. So I'm working on putting out another book and I'm, painting. I'm trying recently, like currently, I'm trying to figure out how to sell my art.
Hmm.
Because, I don't have like a 9 to 5. Um, I, with all my, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but with all my medical experiences, I wasn't able to hold like a steady job. So right now I'm trying to find a way to like make money so I can live, basically. And one of the ways that I'm trying to do that is to sell my artwork. And I've done the farmers market that's close by me,
Hmm.
and I've made I've sold some things, but like not what I was hoping to sell.
Right.
Like I did one yesterday actually. I was at the farmers market yesterday and I sold a book, like one book and one painting all day. It was like, yeah, that's not getting it done. So
Mm.
just trying to figure out how to market my writing, but also my artwork, and figure out how to make it a lucrative commodity.
Mm. I hear you. I hear you. I didn't want to cut you off, but I hope somebody that was listening back in the book is saying it was like, you better bring this up. Okay. Your book isn't 1,000 pages or however you want to describe it, but you know what you do have? A
What?
book.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That's amazing. Like I'm hopefully a month away, from my own, like I wish I knew the stats. I like, yeah, like, percentage of people who actually have a bachelor's and then advanced degrees, but even someone who has actually put out a book, like you're in rare air. You know what I mean? And of course, yes, the real, the reality of it is like, all right, I'm trying to do something with this, and that's perfectly fine. But like, definitely give yourself credit. Like you even have the thing that you want to go, that you want to go get out, get out to the masses. Please elaborate a little bit more. Like what maybe you already is the book kind of basically your experiences, but regardless, like please talk about like what is
Yeah.
this?
So the book, it's called Wait and See,
Mhm.
and it's on Amazon. And it's so it mainly the main focus is, my medical experiences, like I mentioned, just trying to like go through the thoughts and feelings that I have, while I'm laying in a hospital bed or I'm, getting ready for surgery or something like that. And, just talking about sort of like what life like is like in after you have this sort of, uh not to be dramatic, but this like major event that like,
Mhm.
because I was a preschool teacher before. I really enjoyed that, but I wasn't able to hold that job like after I had a lot of the last couple years happen.
Yeah.
Um, and so in the book, it's sort of, talking about what those experiences were like, but also just kind of like, well, who am I now? You know what I mean? Like, sort of like, oh, I was like a preschool teacher. Like, that's who I was, and
Mhm.
I'm not that now. So, who do I want to be, and like, how do I see myself? Um, so sort of like, self-discovery, but also mental health and primarily the going through the different aspects of, a person with a medical condition.
I see. Now, when did you finish it and when did you release it? Are they probably around
So
the same time?
I finished it. I released it at the beginning of last year,
Okay.
in like January 1st, 2023, and then
Uh,
I released it on Amazon then. But I also re-released it through Ingram Spark so that I could have it in bookstores. Um, and yeah,
nice. Nice. Have you felt just like when they spawn new questions, do you see a reason or a need, but a benefit to like have copies on hand when you're out? I mean, I guess you did that, right? You went yesterday, so like a physical
yeah,
copy.
yeah. Like I usually, if I go to an open mic or something, I usually try and have like a couple on hand because I'll read my poem when it's
Right.
my turn to go up. I'll read my poem and then I'll be like, oh, and by the way, if you liked my poem, I have a book
Yeah.
um that you can read. Um, it was funny when I was doing the farmers market yesterday. I had like my books out on the table, and someone came up and was talking to me. It's like, "Oh, this is just like free to take," and I was like, "No, it's $20." Um, you know, but yeah,
That's funny. People, yeah. People, that's a whole different. Like the things that people will pay top dollar for, and then they get around, around the local, around around the community, and that's what marked down free. Like, how does this make sense? Like, how does
it's
this
like,
make
"Oh,
sense?
this is for me, right?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "If you want to read it, it's
Right,
$20."
right. Right. But you know what? But I also, why people get away with that? Because if they would have done that with 10 people, at least four would have been like, like they're not gonna, and then they would have been mad
Yeah,
at themselves later, right? So just you even standing up for yourself. It seems small, but like you stood
yeah,
up for yourself. Like, no, this is we put the work is what I let the work be. And it's like, no, this is not a library book. You know what I mean? Like maybe, yeah, no. Maybe, hey, maybe one day you find that right person, you got mass production, and now, yeah, we can
yeah.
make this, but nah, we're not gonna get there by just handing my book out to, to to the random person. So no, that's good. So yeah, you have the books you walk around with. You have just the Amazon platform, and yeah, let's I hope to speak it into existence. What happens in those cases is one day it just finds the algorithm. Somebody in Bulgaria, somebody in Nigeria, who came across your book and say, hey, I can relate to this, or I'm intrigued by this. The in person is good because you just shared a little bit of who you are with people right there, and then your other avenue as far as having it as a book and bookstores. I think that's good. Like there's not a right way. The right way is whatever works, right? So not pigeonholing yourself to just one method and saying, I need this to sell this way. And then if it doesn't, then I've failed. Like, do you do any of those three stand out? Like you've seen the benefits of any of those methods, bookstore, in person, Amazon, more so than the others?
I mean, as far as self-publishing a book, like it's not a very good way to like make a bunch of money. Like
Right.
it's very, I'll get an email on Amazon that's like your monthly earnings are like $14, and it's like okay, cool, I guess.
Right.
Um, but it's just I think it goes back to more of that like spreading my message and
Yeah.
my story with people because like I didn't expect to like, oh, now I'm gonna be set and it's gonna be, I don't need to do anything else. Like
You're right.
um, but I've had people read my book, and my friend in Georgia who I'm going to see, we connected because she read my book and then messaged me on Instagram and was like, hey, I enjoyed your book. Um, and so I think really the main like motivation to get it, spread it to more places and everything is a little bit of trying to make money because money is funny, money is fun to have, but it's also just to like reach more people so that they can read it basically.
Right. Right.
Need $10 million. I just want people to read my book.
Right, right. And yeah, and that can come back to it's like, yeah, not we don't, the love of money for those who are biblical, the love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself. But you don't have to necessarily chase it directly for that benefit to still come. Like, yeah, you building community is a value in and of itself. But in that meantime, you can find methods to sustain and have an enjoyable life for sure. So now when 'cause I didn't forget the painting. So when you think about everything, one, you released a book at the beginning of last year, right? You've had the experience of selling it. Is it selling crazy? No, but you also have seen that it is. And then also, as you're navigating your paintings and that I don't even, yeah, that's a whole nother like how do you find that audience? What is the price? All that type of stuff. So like as I'm sure you're continuing to like every day you're learning that process, but like so far, what do you feel like you are, in mid 2024, you've learned that you didn't have last year?
So as far as the painting goes, like I've figured out like new techniques that I can use,
Mhm.
like to create a painting. Like there's, the traditional just like brush painting, let me paint a picture of a forest kind of thing. But there's also, more abstract paintings, and one of the things that I like to do is called pour painting, where basically there's a couple different ways to do it, but what I do is I load like a bunch of different colors into a cup and I put a canvas on top of it, flip it over, and then lift it up, and it, spreads out, and the way it'll make cells, which are like little, interesting things that happen throughout the painting. And it creates some pretty cool pictures. And there's people who like abstract art are usually into those. I also do the traditional paintings, Bob Ross, um, which I love Bob Ross.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Um, but um, but yeah, so I'm always trying to, keep my abilities, up and always trying to learn in that sense. But like presently I'm trying to figure out how to sell my art, like I mentioned. And I've been doing the farmers markets, but they're just not getting I don't get a lot of like traction from them, so I'm trying to figure out what else I can do as far as like I've been looking into it, and a YouTube video suggested like reaching out to like a brewery or a coffee shop to like display my art in, and then like people can buy it if they want. Or I'm trying to steer away from things like Etsy and other like, marketplaces of that sense, because you sell your art, but it's like not yours basically.
Right.
So that's really what I'm trying to figure out at the moment.
Right. And that, yeah, that, hey, listen, yeah, YouTube University is incredible. But even like, yeah, you also have, among other, you have your Towson, alumni, right? So just networking like that, like just whatever the school is. I went to Florida A&M and University of Rochester. Sometimes somebody just hearing that we went to the same school is all you, like you already have it in. They're already invested in trying to, like, you're on their mind and stuff like that. So yeah, honestly, just the word, getting the word as a good start. I don't have the answers, but somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, it does. Even the store, the brewery, the coffee shop. Yeah, that I've literally seen like, yeah, this is this person's artwork. It's getting attention, and and it goes from there for sure. So hopefully it's an enjoyable journey. Obviously I know there will be some challenges and setbacks along the way, but hopefully it's a process that can be enjoyable as you figure out, a path that works for you for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say, I guess I'm thinking like, I'm thinking this is a question I might start asking repeatedly, but as much art as you're into, when you think of AI, I'm trying not to ask no what they call it. I'm trying not to ask no leading questions. So when you just think about AI, positive, negative, what are your thoughts as it relates to your art?
AI just in the general world scares me. Like I don't it's scary. Like, they can mimic your voice and they can mimic your picture on a video and have you talk and say things that you didn't actually say.
Right.
Yeah, AI scares me. And then like in the sense of like art, I feel like art is one of those like strictly human things, or like they've had like gorillas paint things and stuff, so like living being exclusive kind of thing. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but like I feel like it's a strictly person type of thing to create a piece of art that evokes emotion and you know um is creative and stuff like that, and to have like a machine do that for you, I don't know. It's just like not. I'm not super happy about it.
Right.
I think that AI is great in the sense of like they can 3D print like organ replacements and stuff like that, and like things in science. But in the like pop culture or just like in the social world, it scares me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, you explained it perfectly. And yeah, for the most, there's a lot of, I don't, there's probably a wrong answer out there, but I'm looking forward to it's not a right answer, right? Like this is definitely a what, a what does it invoke? What reaction does it invoke? What emotion does it invoke? Like what perspective do you see from it? Like, because what it is, part of it is shaped by how have you seen it utilized so far, right? So if you've seen a couple positive uses and then you can then trace it to, okay, and I can see further. But we've also seen it bastardized and it will continue to be done so, so it's like, it's a thought exercise that I'm interested in for people with various whatever they different backgrounds, different experiences are gonna have different feelings on it. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like your perspective. I appreciate it.
I
So
feel like soon enough it's gonna be like Taylor Swift calling you up to be like, "Hey, give me $100,000," and like,
they're gonna do it.
might be a little scary.
Right. They're gonna do it. They're like, I can help my favorite artist, and then
Yeah.
they're gonna be the next scammer. Yeah. So yeah, it's a scary time. It's a scary time for sure. It'll be interesting to see how it continues to develop for sure. So yeah, how it would be remiss. You have a book, you have paintings you are working on. How is it that people can stay in tune and in touch with what you have going on?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. My name is Dylan Sneeman. It's DYLAN_SN, like Nancy, AM like Mary, AN like Nancy. Just Dylan_Sneeman.
Hmm.
And yeah, I post, pictures of my artwork. Sometimes I post, poetry stuff. I try and stay away from like posting my original work on social media because
Hmm.
I get paranoid, like, oh, someone's gonna steal it.
Yeah.
Um, but that's where you can find me.
Okay. Okay. No, for sure. Definitely will be on the notes. Yeah, y'all. Yeah, we'll get clips and things like that. So we will definitely those who want to connect, please continue to do so. You got follow-ups, you have advice or encouragement for them. Anything I didn't think of, to share. By all means, that's where y'all can jump in and connect with him directly. Is there any parting words per se? Definitely great conversation. So maybe there's not, but
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed, talking to you. We, shoot just dumb messages back and forth on Instagram,
yeah,
laughing at memes and stuff like that.
yeah,
But it was nice to actually sit down and, talk to you for
right,
a while.
right. Fully agree. Definitely glad. Yeah, I put the word out like, hey, because I know, and I know this. I know I'm just surrounded by people that, a conversation this enjoyable is one. Let's find the time away. So, I reached out, you responded. It's like, okay, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Let's find some time. We found that schedule, made it work, and here we are. So absolutely. My pleasure as well. And definitely, as I already was and continue to be rooting for you, on this side as you continue to chase, your dreams, your passions,
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And
yeah,
I'll do the same. I see
thank
you posting, oh, I'm gonna be here. I'm the feature artist here. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And I always, always for all of that.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that for sure. So yeah, hey, excellent. Another great episode. I appreciate you being my guest. Thank you for all who are and will tune in. This has been another episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast. Y'all take it easy.